Welcome in or welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, where we examine, discuss, celebrate, and honor all things college football across the entire college football landscape, but with a very special emphasis on our beloved black and gold squad of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Welcome back, guys. It's great to be back with you once again after a 2-month hiatus. I am refreshed, rejuvenated, re-energized, reborn. Okay, I'll stop there. After, I got really caught up. As we all know, life does happen. After the holidays, then there was a little bit of illness that ran rampant throughout the household. And then I was the head coach of my son's basketball team. And congratulations, a shout out to the 5th grade boys basketball team that he was on. They had a great season that has now wrapped up. And now I am able to focus on some of the other finer things in life. And what a great time to be back here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, because this is what has happened recently. The Super Bowl is long past. The Daytona 500 is in the rear view mirror. You see what I did there? The boys of summer are currently in spring training going on in those according states from coast to coast. We are merely weeks away from a tradition like none other, the Masters down in Augusta, Georgia. And as of today, while I'm recording this, we are 2 days away from Selection Sunday. So that's right, spring is in the air, it has arrived. And what does that also mean? That is right, spring football has begun on colleges and universities from coast to coast at a town and campus near you. So there is a lot to be excited about and a lot to be thankful for. So what's on the docket for today, guys? I thought I'd kind of pick up where I left off. I am going to give you my hot takes and a little bit of my reaction to the final AP poll, the final top 25 rankings that were posted after the national championship game. And if this is your first time joining me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, if you have been searching for a channel that is for you, the college football fan, the fanatic, the novice fan, or the fan who just wants some talking points, or if you want to maybe connect with your father or mother-in-law to score some points, well, congratulations, welcome home. That is it. You do not have to be a fan of the black and gold, because after all, nobody's perfect. To enjoy the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, this is a safe haven and a gathering spot for all college football fans alike. You are more than welcomed here. So if you like during this episode what you hear or what you see, and by the looks of it, it's going to be more or less what you hear, not what you see, please feel free to subscribe, like, share, comment, get involved, let your voice be heard. I can tell you, and my current members and followers and family of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog will attest and tell you this is true. If you comment, I will absolutely get back to you sooner than later, each and every single comment individually. And you are the individuals, you, the college football fan, drive these episodes and drive the conversation. So please get involved, subscribe, like, share, comment. Let's keep a good thing going. So now that I'm back, I will be doing a weekly show from here out. So this is where I'm going to pick it up, going through the final AP Top 25. But before I say anything else, I do need to give a quick shout out, props, respect to the University of Georgia Bulldogs. They were able to defend and win the national title in an absolute dismantling and dismembering of TCU, basically a game that was over before it started. So congratulations to you, Uga and the Bulldog fans. You deserve it. I go ahead and salute you and give you a little standing ovation. Well done. Back-to-back chips. Not something that we see too often in this great sport. But that being said, for those of you who watched my last episode, I may have lost a little bit of credibility and legitimacy in a stupor to where I listened to my heart more than my head. I did pick TCU to win the national championship game. Yeah, it was a little bit of a hot take that was a little bit off, even though during that episode, in my defense, I did claim several times and state that Georgia absolutely was the better team going into the national championship game, but I just thought that there was something about TCU that maybe they were going to be the team that defies the odds. I think maybe I had just watched Hoosiers way too much recently, and the Hickory Huskers and Jimmy Chitwood and Coach Norman Dale. So maybe that's what clouded my mind and my judgment. But hopefully I can get back in the good graces of some of you and kind of let you know to get back on the right side that this is the guy, though, in my defense, who months before the season kicked off during my bold predictions episode, I did tell you that Tennessee would in fact knock off Alabama, which they did. I did tell you that Hendon Hooker would be a Heisman Trophy finalist, which up until the time when he was hurt, he absolutely was going to be a Heisman Trophy finalist, if not be the person hoisting the coveted trophy in NYC at the very end of the season. And if you listen to my best bet win totals, I was 6 for 6 as far as telling you to put money on this team who would eclipse their projected win total in Vegas, or put money on this team who would come under their projected win total. So if you listen to me, your wallet definitely got a little bit fatter. So maybe that'll put me back in the good graces of some of you. So hopefully I still can seem to you like a college football oracle or soothsayer. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, enough talk. Let's get to the final AP poll after the national championship game. And please, while I do this, get involved. Let me know if you agree or disagree on some of my hot takes. Do you like where your favorite team or your favorite arch rival is? Are they too high? Are they too low? Should they not have been ranked at all? I want to hear from you, the college football universe, all of you fans out there. So this is what I did. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of revisit and re-inform you of what the AP poll was, 1 through 25, and then I'm going to compare that to what my AP poll would have looked like, and I will make some arguments here and there as far as, hey, this is what I think they got right, this is what they got wrong, and how I ranked these teams. It wasn't just overall record. What also went into it was the schedule strength. Who did you play? Who did you beat? Not just your big wins, but also who did you lose to? And I think that's one thing that really grinds my gears, like Peter Griffith said in Family Guy. What really gets my blood boiling is it seems like nowadays we put so much of a preference and a precedent on big wins that bad losses don't seem to really matter. They need to be measured the same. They absolutely need to cancel each other. If anything, I think a bad loss means a whole hell of a lot more than a good or great victory. So I also did this based on who'd you beat, who did you lose to, head-to-head, which that absolutely has to matter. In some of these instances, it clearly did not to the voters. So a lot went into it, all right? So to give you a little bit of a heads up, my overall grade, if I was a teacher, I was kind of in between giving the final AP poll a B or a C. I think my overall grade would be a C plus, okay? Because of the 25 teams, I had 23 of those teams ranked. 2 teams I believed should not have been ranked, and I will let you know the 2 who I believe should have made the poll. And obviously there were some differences as far as where they are ranked. So stay with me, let me know what you think. Let's get it on. All right, so the final AP Top 25, and I will do these in 5 or 6 team increments. Number 1, of course, is Georgia, followed by TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama. Number 6 is Tennessee, followed by Penn State, Washington, Tulane, and Utah. Number 11, Florida State, followed by USC, then Clemson, Kansas State, and Oregon, the Ducks. 16 is LSU, 17, Oregon State, followed by Notre Dame, Troy, the men of Troy, and then Mississippi State, the Bulldogs. And rounding out the AP Top 25, 21, UCLA, followed by Pitt, and then South Carolina, the Gamecocks, making their way back into the rankings at season's end. And then Fresno State, the Bulldogs, at the helm by my boy Jake Haener, who is now moving on to the NFL. And then the final team in the rankings were the Texas Longhorns. So that is how the AP, the final AP poll and rankings shaped up. Now, let's go ahead and look at my rankings. And once again, please, guys, get involved. Comment, let me know what you think. Do you buy my arguments? Sell? Push? You know, agree, disagree? Call me anything you like. If you want to call me a dirty SOB, hey, I've heard way worse in my time. And any comments, I just ask that please we all be adult-like. All right? So let's get into how I ranked and what my final AP Top 25 would have looked like. Without any sort of debate, Georgia, obviously number 1. Now, number 2, thank you, number 2. My first bold point or change that I liked in my rankings is I know it's tradition to have the national title runner-up be number 2 in the nation, even going back to the BCS days. I get that, but come on, guys. I mean, I was all about TCU. They absolutely deserved to be in the college football playoff. I know a lot of you did not believe that. Alabama fans. But then again, TCU went 12-0 in the regular season. They won, you know, the deepest, most competitive conference. Their only blemish in the regular season was at the hands of Kansas State in the Big 12 title game. And that is an excellent team there in the little Big Apple in Manhattan, Kansas. So I actually have the only team that pushed and challenged Georgia until the very final closing seconds. I've got the Ohio State Buckeyes, my number 2 team in the nation, because if there's a difference, if this play goes this way or that play goes this way, very easily Ohio State could have defeated Georgia in the college football playoff semifinal game. So my number 2 is Ohio State. I have then followed number 3 by TCU because of that really lackadaisical showing and being beaten in embarrassing fashion by the Bulldogs in the national title game. Number 4, I've got the Michigan Wolverines. Now, number 5, my next big bolded team statement here. Okay, I already told you, in the AP poll, number 5 was the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Me, I've got Tennessee number 5. Okay, and here's why. So numbers 5 and 6, I have them inverted on my final AP Top 25 poll. I've got Tennessee number 5 and Alabama number 6. Because here's why. They both finished 11-2, and that's with their bowl victories. And that's something else that went into my final Top 25 was also, how did you do in your bowl game? Win or lose? They both finished 11-2. Tennessee defeated the ACC champion Clemson in their bowl game. Alabama, also 11-2, as I stated, they also defeated a conference champion. They defeated the Big 12 champion Kansas State Wildcats. But here's the thing. Tennessee defeated number 5 Alabama straight up. So I don't get how you can possibly say Alabama deserves to be ahead of Tennessee in the final polls. How does that make any sense? That's right, because it doesn't. And also on top of that, Tennessee absolutely throttled LSU down in Baton Rouge, number 16 LSU, who ended up winning the SEC West title. And by the way, that LSU team also defeated Alabama. So how can Bama be ahead of Tennessee? That's right, they can't be. So I've got number 5 Tennessee, followed by number 6 Alabama. I'm sorry, Bama fans, but it's just the truth. You don't deserve to be there. You just don't ahead of Tennessee. Okay? And I challenge any Alabama fan, actually any college football fan, I challenge you to make your point. I want to hear from you. Try to talk me out of that thought process. Try to convince me I'm a one-man jury that Alabama should be ranked ahead of Tennessee. I want to hear from you. Please. Next at number 7, I've got the Washington Huskies, who went 11-2. They swept both of the Oregon teams, and they did beat number 20 Texas in the Alamo. Well, actually, it's number 25 Texas now, but they defeated number 25 Texas in the Alamo Bowl. I mean, so I don't see how Washington can't be higher. I mean, the AP poll, they're number 8. I've got them number 7. Number 8 in my poll is the Penn State Nittany Lions, the Rose Bowl champions. Number 9, I've got Tulane, just like the AP poll does. And rounding out the top 10, I have the Utah Utes, the Pac-12 champions, the runner-ups in the Rose Bowl to Penn State. And the AP poll also has Utah number 10. So moving into the next 10, number 11, the AP poll has Florida State. Me, I have number 11 has to be the Clemson Tigers, okay? Bear with me here, because this kind of correlates to the Florida State Seminoles, all right? Clemson finished the year 11-3. They won the ACC championship. And by the way, they also won at number 11 Florida State. So how can you have Florida State ranked ahead of Clemson? Yes, Clemson lost their bowl game while Florida State did win theirs. So I get that little bit of maybe extra ammunition for the Seminoles. But I can't see how you can have Florida State ahead of them in the rankings. You can't. Because Florida State, I'll get to them next. So I've got Clemson number 11, and I've got Florida State just behind them in number 12 in my poll. Florida State finished the year 10-3. They did beat Oklahoma in their bowl game, and they did defeat SEC West champion number 16 LSU. So a very good victory, even though it was by 1 point on a blocked kick of all things. But they lost, like I said, at Clemson. And they also lost to the other upper echelon teams in the ACC. They lost at home to Wake Forest, and they lost at NC State. So having Florida State ahead of Clemson, I just can't have it. I'm sorry. Head-to-head has to matter, and it does in my book, obviously. Florida State fans, let me know what you think about that. Clemson fans, go ahead. Hop on there, let me know. Number 13, I have USC, who lost to Tulane. Number 14, just like in the AP poll, I have the Kansas State Wildcats. Now, number 15, 16, and 17. Wow. The AP poll has Oregon 15, LSU 16, and Oregon State 17. I have all 3 of those teams as well at 15, 16, and 17, but definitely in a different order. So check this out. Number 15, I have Oregon State. They finished the year 10-3. They throttled Florida, which I know Florida was down this season. They are not the usual typical Florida squad. I get that. They went 10-3. Their losses were legit. Their 3 losses, they lost to number 12 USC, number 10 Utah, and number 8 Washington. And remember, those rankings reflect the AP poll, the final AP poll, but they defeated number 15 Oregon straight up. So once again, head-to-head has to matter. It just does. And Oregon State's schedule was much more difficult than Oregon's was. I mean, yeah, the non-conference, Oregon did play Georgia and got embarrassed as well, but Oregon State defeated Boise State and the Mountain West champion Fresno State. And both of those squads won their respective divisions within the Mountain West. So that's 2 impressive victories in the non-conference for the Beavers up there in Corvallis. So I had Oregon State number 15. Number 16, I had Oregon. That's right. I've got Oregon next, who, like Oregon State, finished the season 10-3. They did, and like I said, they lost to Oregon State straight up. So I can't see why you can put the Ducks in front of the Beavers. You just can't. Yes, both aquatic animals, but, you know, the aquatic mammal who can swim and live underwater, he should be ahead. I'm sorry. And then number 17, I've got LSU checking in at number 17 compared to number 16 in the final AP poll. Now, LSU went 10-4 in the regular season. They did win the SEC West, as I stated. Good wins. They defeated number 5, Alabama. Big-time victory in walk-off style and overtime. They throttled Purdue in their bowl game, I mean, to the tune of 63-7. But then again, basically the entire Purdue offense decided to opt out. I'm talking quarterback Aiden Connell, stud wide receiver Charlie Jones, and stud tight end, Payne Durham. So definitely saw that coming. Maybe not to that extent, but I saw a beatdown coming. So I get it. But also, I mean, they didn't defeat Tennessee or Georgia. They couldn't beat the upper echelon from the SEC East. And also, I'm sorry, I mentioned this about bad losses. They lost to Texas A&M, who went 5-7 overall in the regular season. Okay? You can't escape a bad loss. The Bama win, absolutely big time. But that loss against Texas A&M has to matter the same, okay? So to me, they cancel each other out. That's why I am not as high on LSU, and I wasn't at all last season either. So losing to the Aggies, that has to mean something. You have to be penalized for that. So LSU fans, I'm not picking on you, but that's just the truth. I'm like Miss Cleo, all right? I keep it real. All right, if some of you remember Miss Cleo, I'm kind of dating myself there. Please feel free to subscribe, like, share, comment. Let me know what you think. Moving on, number 18, I've got Troy. Now, Troy is number 19 in the final AP poll. I have them number 18 in mine. The men of Troy went 12-2. They were the Sun Belt Conference champions. They won 11 games in a row. Wow, to finish up the season. You talk about ending on a high note. And in their bowl game, not only were they victorious, but they beat a fellow conference champion in the the Roadrunners. That's right, UTSA, the Conference USA champion. So if anything, I think Troy maybe could have been a little bit higher, but I put them right there at number 18. Number 19, I've got Notre Dame. So another discrepancy here. Notre Dame is number 18 in the AP poll. I had them down at 19 because here's the deal. Notre Dame went 9-4. All right, their schedule was difficult. I mean, they did defeat number 13 Clemson, so that's a good victory. All right, but then again, and they lost to number 3 Ohio State. So I get it. They had a tough schedule. They did beat number 23 South Carolina in their bowl game. But then again, I can't look past their bad losses, guys. They lost to both Marshall and Stanford. Okay, I believe Stanford went 3-9, I believe. And that game was in South Bend. Okay, And also, Marshall, I think, did go bowling, but I think they finished 6 and 7, I think. I mean, if Marshall would have went on and won, the Sun Belt, that's one thing, but they didn't. So I can't look the other way about Notre Dame's 2 bad losses, especially that Stanford loss. Absolutely atrocious, okay? Number 20, just like in the AP poll, I've got Mississippi State, the Bulldogs, fresh off of their victory over Illinois in their bowl game. Now, the final 5 in my AP poll, I'm going to say the next 2 together. In the AP poll, the final rankings, they have 21 is UCLA, 22 is the Pittsburgh Panthers. Okay, I have those 2 teams reversed. I've got number 21 Pitt and number 22 UCLA. And basically because, guess what? These 2 teams met up in the bowl game, and they have the same records overall. And who do you think won? If you go by the AP poll, you would think it had to be UCLA, but that is incorrecto. Pitt defeated UCLA straight up in the bowl game. So how can you have the Bruins ahead of the Panthers? Once again, guys, you can't. You can't have that. Let's look at their profile. Pitt, 9 and 4, bad loss. They lost to Georgia Tech, who went 5 and 7 overall. Yikes. Rough loss there within the ACC. But they did defeat number 21 UCLA. I don't get it. Now, UCLA's profile, let's look at this. Maybe a little bit better. Also 9 and 4. They had 2 big-time victories. They beat number 8 Washington and number 10 Utah. Very impressive victories. But they lost to Arizona, who went 5 and 7. Another, just a bad, crushing loss. If they wouldn't have lost that game to Arizona, let's say they would have lost to another ranked Pac-12 team, like an Oregon or an Oregon State, but not Zona, I probably maybe even would have had UCLA ahead of them, ahead of Pitt, but I can't do it. I can't. So 21 Pitt, 22 UCLA. Now, 23, a team that I was so high on all year, and especially for good reason. If I could give out a Heisman Trophy to somebody at the non-Power 5 level, it has to be Fresno State Bulldog quarterback Jake Haener, who's taking his talents to the NFL. And I believe he is going to be a sleeper draft pick. If it's day 2 or day 3 and your team needs a quarterback, or you just want to have a QB on staff for better safe than sorry, for, hey, as a backup purpose, get on the phone, tell your people, draft Jake Haener. I've got 23 Fresno State. In the AP poll, they're at number 24, so I have them up 1 spot. Overall, Fresno State went 10 and 4. They did win the Mountain West Conference Championship, and they finished the season with 9 wins in a row. And they also defeated, they won their bowl game, and they defeated in that bowl game a Power 5 school in Washington State, the Cougars, who were a solid team. Not an upper echelon Pac-12 team, but still a solid team. So Fresno State, I believe, should have been a little bit higher in the final rankings. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I told you guys at the beginning of this episode, and please subscribe, like, share, comment, let me know, rate, let me know what you think. Get involved. I want to hear from you. This is where it gets a little interesting, because I told you I had, of the 25 teams that were in the final rankings, I only had 23 of those ranked. So the last 2 teams I have ranked were not in the final AP poll. I have at number 24, I've got the Texas Tech. I've got Texas Tech here in 24, and here's why, okay? I've got the Raiders here. Texas Tech overall went 8 and 5. They did defeat Ole Miss in their bowl game, and Ole Miss was highly favored in that bowl game. And they did defeat number 25, Texas, straight up. I believe that game was won in overtime, so a close contest, but Texas Tech beat Texas. And Texas also ended up going 8 and 5 as well. So once again, head-to-head has to matter. And Texas lost their bowl game in the Lone Star State as a home game, basically. Okay, so I've got the Red Raiders ranked and not the Longhorns. I'm sure that's going to light up things right there on these message boards. So number 24, Texas Tech. And my final team, who was not in the AP poll, but I've got him here, I've got the Air Force Falcons. That's right. I give lots of love and respect to the men and women of the United States Armed Services and Forces, both past and present. So here's why I have Air Force ranked. And that means the team that I don't have ranked, who's in the AP poll, is the South Carolina Gamecocks. I'll get to both them and Texas here next. But Air Force, here's their profile. They went 10-3 overall. They won back the Commander-in-Chief trophy, I believe the first time since 2016. So doing that, they defeated Navy and Army. So congratulations. That trophy is back in Colorado Springs. They ended this season on a 5-game win streak. And during their season, they defeated not one, but 2 Power 5 teams. During the regular season, they did defeat Colorado, which I get it. Colorado had 1 loss and now enter Coach Prime. I can't wait to see what he's going to do there in Boulder. And their bowl game, they defeated a very, very solid, tough Baylor squad. So absolutely, I think Air Force should have made the final rankings. So there you have it. There's my top 25 according to me. So let's talk about the 2 teams that I don't have ranked that were in the AP poll. First is Texas. Texas clocked in at number 25, but I picked Texas Tech over them because I already mentioned it. Both teams went 8-5 overall. Texas, had, not bad losses. They lost to number 5 Alabama by 1 point, a walk-off field goal there in Austin. Week 2, great game. But the thing is, the politics that are involved with Texas, going into that game against Alabama, Texas was not ranked. But following a loss, guess who's ranked the Monday after? Texas off of a loss. And I believe they were ranked number 20 or 21, so not like they were 24 or 25. So I can't figure that out. Let's go ahead and reward somebody who's 1-1 and get them ranked after a loss. Made no sense to me, by the way. Another loss against number 2, TCU. There's no harm, no shame in that. They did defeat number 14, Kansas State, the Big 12 champions. So that's a good win. But yes, they lost to Texas Tech straight up, and also a bad loss to Oklahoma State, who finished the season 7-6. So I can't reward Texas. I can't. They did not deserve to be ranked. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Let me know what you think, Texas fans. Now, the other team that I didn't have ranked that the so-called experts did in voters was South Carolina, the Gamecocks. Now, here's the deal. Let me share with you South Carolina's profile. They went 8-5, okay? They have those 2 big wins at the end of the season. They defeated number 6 Tennessee and number 13 Clemson, their in-state rival. And those are huge victories for the program and for the fans, for everybody, okay? So those are potentially program-changing victories moving forward, okay? And after defeating those 2 teams, they found themselves ranked. But even losing the bowl game against Notre Dame, they did not fall out of the rankings. I was very surprised by that. But this is also what they did during the season. Because once again, guys, bad losses have to matter, okay? They lost to Arkansas, who went 7-6 overall. And they lost to both Florida and Missouri, who finished their seasons 6-7. So you tell me, how is South Carolina worthy of being ranked? It doesn't make any sense, guys. It just doesn't, okay? So that's my 2 cents. Hopefully it's worth a little bit of something to you, but Once again, guys, get involved, like, share, comment, let me know what you think. And that wraps up this week's episode, guys. It's so great to be back. Join me next week, more than likely Wednesday afternoon. Trust me, I have a lot to say about our beloved Iowa Hawkeyes and the season that was, and the offense that was very offensive that was. But before that, guys, I do want to revisit my bold predictions that I made. One of my very first episodes last year, and I'll be doing it at the end of this summer, is my bold predictions episode. I want to revisit things and see how I did, just like I did last year. I'll look back at my bold predictions, grade myself, see how I did, and then I'll leave it up to you, the Black and Gold family, all of you college football fanatics, if you believe I'm somebody who has a little bit of credibility, who knows a thing or two about this great sport. So join me next week for that. Can't wait. Until then, guys, thanks for everything you've done and will continue to do for the channel. Thank you. Gracias. Merci beaucoup. Danke. Origato. And all those thank yous in between. So until next week, guys, please subscribe, get involved, have a great rest of the week and weekend. Until next time, stay safe, be responsible, grow, enjoy life. I can't wait to be back. So thank you for joining me on this week's episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog. See you next week. Bye-bye.